Have you ever looked at a creature design in a video game and thought, yeah, someone was having an absolute blast in the studio that day? If you've spent any time exploring the outer continent in Final Fantasy IX, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Today, we need to talk about one of the most magnificent, unbothered, and aerodynamically impossible creatures to ever grace the franchise, the Zemzelett. Just look at this absolute unit. It is, without a doubt, the most perfectly spherical bird in digital history. It doesn't just have feathers. It looks like a giant, grumpy avocado that somehow grew a beak. And that face. The Zemzelett possesses an unmatched level of pure, unadulterated judgment. With those heavy, droopy eyelids and that feathered brow that looks suspiciously like a bad bowl cut, it constantly looks like you just woke it up from a nap at 3 in the afternoon. It doesn't look terrifying. It looks completely disappointed in your life choices. But there's a wonderful artistry to how expressive this design actually is. Instead of standard wings meant for elegant flight, it has these long, splayed-out green feathers radiating from its base, almost like the leaves of a pineapple. When it sits, it looks firmly anchored to the earth, like a heavy stone monument to cynicism. Definitely not your average poultry in motion. It's a masterclass in character design because you instantly understand its entire vibe without it ever saying a single word. So, where does a giant, disgruntled tennis ball with a beak actually fit into the world of Gaia? You mostly encounter them roaming the high plains and temperate plateaus of the outer continent, precisely within the forest that houses the redeemed black mages that manage to flee from Kuja's control. Kuja being the main antagonist of the game. Now, get down to business. Why is the Zemzelett so incredibly round? If we look at real-world biology, birds fluff out their feathers to trap air for insulation or to make themselves look larger and more intimidating to predators. But in Gaia, what if it's not just air? Given where they live, it is entirely possible that these creatures act like living filtration systems or sponges for the mist itself. Or at least, they were such before mist retroceded to the mist continent only. That bloated, heavy appearance could be a direct result of adapting to a world saturated with magical energy. And honestly, if I had to breathe in recycled soul energy fog all day in the PSAT, I'd probably look just as bloated and grumpy too through evolutionary adaptation. It shares a lot of visual DNA with real-world birds, like the tawny frogmouth or the Po-2 bird, creatures famous for their wide, slightly absurd, and perpetually stunned facial expressions. It also mimics the defense mechanism of a blowfish or an owl trying to look massive. It's an amazing blend of real-life avian quirkiness pushed to its absolute fantasy extreme. It's these kinds of creature designs that give Final Fantasy IX its unique fairy tale charm. The world doesn't just feel populated by generic monsters. It feels like a living, breathing ecosystem filled with bizarre evolutionary dead ends that are just trying to get through their day. A huge step compared to the earlier entries of the series, and, unfortunately, some of the latter ones too. Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X2, the most guilty of using palette swaps, or rather, altered models of same-type enemies that are glorified 3D palette swaps. The Zemzelett proves that sometimes the most memorable parts of a fantasy universe are the ones that just make you stop and laugh at how delightfully weird nature can be.